Shizom's life changed the very day her mother died. She and her mom are just finished discussing how she's going to go about her university admission. They were so excited about talking about it that morning, but by evening, everything changed. Her mother slumped right there in their living room. She was not sick, no sign, no warning. 1 minute she was laughing together with her daughter. The next minute she was on the floor, eyes closed, not responding. Shizom didn't just lose her mother, she just lost her best friend, her biggest cheerleader, her only parent. Her father died when she was still in primary school, and now this at just 21. Her mother's younger sister, Auntie Justina, came from the village for the burial ceremony. So when she stood outside beside Shizom during the funeral, she said, "Don't worry, my daughter. I will take you with me to the village. You will live with me. I will take care of you like my own." Shizom felt a little relief. So after the burial, she packed her things and left for the village with Auntie Justina. Auntie Justina welcomed her into the house. Her husband worked as a farmer, and their only child, Antonia, was around Shizom's age. They told her to feel at home. It didn't even take up to 2 weeks for Shizom to realize that she was not brought to village as a daughter. She was brought in as an house girl. She woke up before everyone else, sometimes as early as 4:30 a.m. She swept the house, washed plates, cooked food, washed clothes, fetched water from the village borehole, and even cleaned the compound. Her cousin, Antonia, who was her age mate, did absolutely nothing. Antonia would sit on a bench under the mango tree, chewing sugarcane, painting her nails with local polish, and scrolling through her phone. In fact, whenever Shizom complained, her auntie would ease and say, "Shizom, you better be grateful. If not for me, who would feed you? You are living under my roof, eating my food, and you still have mouth?" Then she would remember her mother's words, "Good character will open doors, your certificate cannot." That voice stayed with her, even in her deepest pain. Weeks turned into months, and her aunt was not talking about how she's going to go to school. Her JAMB result was still in her bag, but each time she brought up the topic of going back to school, Auntie Justina would wave her off. "Which money? You think education is by force? You better face reality." One evening, after crying behind the house, Shizom made up her mind. She went to her aunt and knelt down. "Auntie, please, I don't want to stay at home doing nothing. Let me hawk oranges in the market. Let me save money. I want to go to school." Auntie Justina looked at her for a long time. Then she sighed. "Okay, you can hawk, but since you will use my tray and my connections in the neighborhood, and I am the one feeding you, you will be bringing 50% of whatever you make every day." But Shizom had no choice than to agree. Half a loaf is better than none. So the next morning, Shizom arranged the juicy oranges on the tray and balanced it carefully on her head. She stepped out into the street. From street to street, she walked under the scorching sun, shouting, "Sweet oranges, buy sweet oranges." Some days were good, some days were very dry. But no matter how small she made, she gave Auntie Justina her half and kept the rest. Then one afternoon, Shizom was walking through the village very tired, and her tray was still almost full. As she passed by one beautiful duplex she saw at the entrance, house help needed urgently. So she stopped, read it again, then looked at the house. Something inside her told her, try. What is the worst thing that can happen? So she summoned the courage, walked to the gate and knocked. A security man opened it and asked what she wanted. I saw the sign and I want to apply, she said gently. He went inside to call someone. A few minutes later, a tall, fair woman came out. Her name was Mrs. Obi. She looked at Shizom from head to toe. Then she smiled. You are here for the house help job? Yes, ma, Shizom answered. Mrs. Obi did not ask too many questions. She just asked her, can I trust you? Shizom nodded. Yes, ma, I will do my best. That was it. Just like that, Shizom got the job. She was told her duties: to sweep, to cook, and running errands. She would have her own corner in the boys' quarter, 3 square meals, and a fixed monthly salary. The pay was far better than selling oranges in the sun. On a Tuesday morning, Shizom had swept the sitting room, cleaned the kitchen, and was about to start preparing breakfast when she heard a car horn at the gate. Mrs. Obi stood from the dining table and smiled. That must be Lucas. My son is back. Shizom went to open the door for Lucas. He greeted his mother warmly and gave her a side hug. Good morning, sir, Shizom said with a soft smile. He smiled back. Morning. You must be the new help my mom told me about. She simply nodded. In the days that followed, Lucas started observing her. She always wake up early to work. She greeted everyone in the house, including the gate man, with respect. Even when things went wrong, she took correction with humility. She was so diligent in her work, and she works very fast and smart. One day, he heard her reading aloud from a textbook in the backyard and was surprised. He asked her, are you in school? She replied, I was supposed to be in the university by now, but life happened. From that day, he started talking to her more frequently. They would sit together in the garden to gist after she finished her work. They started getting more close. Before long, something started to grow between them. One day, while in the garden gisting, he looked into her eyes and said gently, Shizom, I like you. I like you a lot. Not just a friend. I want something more. I know it might sound strange, but I've thought about this, and I'm sure about how I feel. Shizom was speechless. She looked down, not sure of what to say. She was surprised. Was she dreaming? How could someone like Lucas, educated and handsome man, see something in her? I don't know what to say, she replied. You don't have to say anything now. I just wanted you to know, Lucas replied her. But she already knew. She had been feeling it too. Then, on her 23rd birthday, Lucas called her to the garden. He held her hands, knelt on one knee, brought out a small box and said, "Shizom, you are the most sincere, kind and beautiful person I know. Will you please marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. She covered her mouth and nodded slowly, and she said yes. It felt like a dream, but it was real. Shizom could barely sleep at night. She held the engagement ring close to her chest and whispered to herself, "God, is this how you work? Is this how you surprise people?" The next morning, she went home to break the good news to her aunt. Lucas followed her also in order to introduce him. When they got to Auntie Justina's place, Shizom knelt down and greeted her. "This is the person I told you about." "You are welcome, my son. God bless you for seeing something good in our Shizom," her auntie said. Lucas greeted her respectfully and gave her a nylon containing fruit and a bottle of wine. She collected it with a smile. Antonia peeped from the room and saw Lucas looking rich and handsome. "Wait, is this a joke or something? She doesn't want to marry a rich fine man. God forbid." Auntie Justina called her daughter after they left. "I cannot sit and watch this small girl enjoy what my daughter deserves," she told her daughter. "We really need to act fast." The wedding day came, and it was a small ceremony held right inside the family sitting room. The chairs were neatly arranged. Close family and friends were present. There was music and plenty food and drinks. It was time for the main moments, bringing out the bride. Shizom, wearing a simple but elegant white wrapper, looked like a true African queen. She held a calabash in her hands, as tradition demanded, and walked gently into the room. But as she stepped in and looked at Lucas, smiling, Lucas stared at her with a strange reaction. Shizom's smile slowly faded. Something was off. He blinked his eyes and looked again. Then he suddenly stood up. Everyone looked at him. "I'm not doing again," he said. At first, people thought he was joking, but Lucas dropped his wine glass, turned around, and walked straight out of the house. "Lucas! Lucas!" his mother called, running after him. Shizom stood confused and embarrassed. What just happened? Tears gathered in her eyes. She ran straight to his house, calling his name. "Lucas, please talk to me. What did I do?" Lucas looked at her straight in the face. "I don't love you anymore. Don't come here again," he said. Then he went inside and closed the door. Shizom broke down. Right there on the floor, she cried like a baby. Neighbors watched from a distance, confused and whispering. Lucas' mother sat in her car, wondering what went wrong. Nobody could explain it. Everything happened so fast. Not long after, Auntie Justina and her daughter, Antonia, carried themselves to an herbalist's house with smiles on their face and a bottle of schnapps in their bag. They had come to say thank you to the native doctor for helping them to scatter Shizom's wedding. But as they were about to leave, Antonia whispered to her mother, "Mama, this is not enough. We need Lucas to fall in love with me." Auntie Justina quickly agreed. "Yes, Baba, we need another charm. One that will make Lucas love my daughter with all his heart." The herbalist nodded slowly and brought out a small nylon. Inside was a brownish powder. "Use this," he said. "Just sprinkle it on your face. But be warned, Lucas must be the first person to set his eyes on you after using this powder. If not, the charm will work on the first man that sets his eyes on you, and I don't want trouble." They both nodded eagerly, collected the powder, and left. Early the next morning, she called Lucas. "Please, I have something very important to tell you. Can I come over?" Lucas, still not in the mood for long talk, he said, "Fine, you can come." Antonia dressed up in a yellow gown and packed her hair neatly. She stood by the gate of Lucas' compound and knocked. The gateman came out and told him he wanted to see Lucas. After that, she quickly stepped into a corner to apply the powder and waiting for him to step out. Everything had to go as planned. Suddenly, from the corner of the street, a madman was walking by, barefooted, talking to himself as usual. He paused, looked up, and boom, their eyes met. It was like something clicked. The madman shouted, "Ah, my wife, my love, you have come back to me." And he ran towards her. Antonia screamed and started running, but the madman followed her, calling her, "My angel, the mother of my children." Neighbors came out wondering what was going on. Children stood on stools to peep through the windows. People were shouting, "What is happening? Is this not Justina's daughter?" But Antonia couldn't even stop to explain. She ran all the way back home. From that day, the madman refused to leave their house, always calling out for his wife to come outside. Sometimes, he would even sing love songs. Antonia could not come out. She felt so ashamed. People in the compound started avoiding them. The shame was too much. Auntie Justina could not take it anymore. One morning, she went back to the herbalist's house crying, "Baba, please help us. This thing has turned against us." But the herbalist looked at her, shook his head, and said slowly, "It is too late. There is no remedy." Antonia could not bear it anymore. One evening, she broke down in tears and called Shizom. "Shizom, I'm so sorry," she said. Shizom looked at her confused. What happened? Antonia knelt down and started confessing everything. How they planned with the herbalist, how they used charm to make Lucas hate her, how they used powder to try and win his love, and how it all backfired when the madman showed up. "I didn't know it would turn out like this," Antonia cried. "Please forgive me. I was jealous. I didn't mean to destroy your life." Shizom stood there, looking shocked. She did not know when tears started dropping from her eyes. That night, Shizom could not sleep, but she knew in her heart that she had to forgive them. News finally reached Lucas' mother, how Antonia and her mother used charm on Lucas. So one morning, she tricked Lucas. She told him she wanted him to follow us to somewhere important, that it was very urgent. He agreed. She led him to Shizom's new place. When Lucas entered and saw Shizom, he felt something different. "Where have you been? I've missed you so much," Lucas told Shizom. It was obvious that he was charmed. Tears filled their eyes and they hugged each other tightly. "I forgive you, Lucas." They sat down and talked together for a long time. As for Antonia, she could not bear the shame anymore. The madman refused to leave their house. So one day, she locked herself in her room and took her own life. Her mother was the one that found her. She screamed and collapsed immediately. She was rushed to the hospital and eventually she had stroke due to the shock from the daughter's death. She lived to regret her actions. Shizom and Lucas had a small and quiet wedding and they lived happily forever. We've come to the end of the story. We hope you enjoy listening to the story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also drop the lessons that you learned from the story. You can drop it in the comment section. You will be glad to receive it. Thank you for listening. Till we see you again in our next video. Bye for now.